Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are going to do something a little bit on the stranger side, I feel, because it's something that I've really never considered doing before. And the video is going to be about how to dodge and burn in Lightroom, and specifically with skin retouching. I've never really considered doing this before, and it was just something that I thought on a whim today that I would try to do in Lightroom. And I actually did a little test run before I filmed this video, and it actually worked pretty well. So I actually feel like it might be an easier option for a lot of people out there. There are a few reasons why you might decide to dodge and burn in Lightroom over Photoshop. And a few of those reasons might be you might have some particular presets that you prefer to use together with skin retouching in Lightroom, or you might be more confident and comfortable with using Lightroom overall, or maybe you just want a bit more of a straightforward and potentially quicker option of doing some dodging and burning for skin retouching. So before we get into the video today, I just want to let you guys know that it is the last day coming up now to enroll in Beauty Retouching for Beginners. That is my online e-course for retouching, and if you guys are interested, it is available through Teachable. It is a 6-week course. However, you do have lifetime access to the content. I'm available for 6 weeks for feedback and for direct contact through email and the Facebook group that we have going. If you are interested in enrolling, make sure you do so before the end of the 30th of July this month and secure your spot, because I'm not entirely sure whether I will be running this course in particular again this year, as I've got another few in the works that I'm really hoping to release at some point. So if you're interested, head over to the Teachable link in the description box below. So we're going to get straight into it today. I've got my beauty photograph here. So I've actually been quite excited to experiment with dodging and burning in Lightroom, and I actually feel like it works pretty well. So we're going to go straight over to the spot removal section first. Now, I want to stress that usually before dodging and burning, I will do quite a bit of cloning or using any healing tools to remove any blemishes or bumps on the skin. So usually that's what I do first before I do any dodging and burning. And then that's when I'll go into dodging and burning with layers in Photoshop usually. So first off here, we're going to just start with the spot removal tool. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to make the brush size a little bit bigger. So size is just up here. And we are going to just move some of the bumps around the skin tone. You can change the feathering on this as well, which is kind of handy. Just put that on auto. So I think that's pretty good. And then I'm just going to continue cloning and healing some of those areas, just where it's a little bit rougher or there's a few bumps around the skin tone. Okay. So that's just a really quick and easy option for removing spots on the skin. Okay, and I'll just quickly remove a couple of those little hairs in between the eyebrows. And just a couple of little patches there as well. I'm not going to go too overboard with this because, as I've said in previous tutorials, I like to do the majority of dodging and burning to kind of correct those blemished areas if I can. I'm just kind of removing the little spots that are harder to remove with dodging and burning. Okay, so now we can get straight into the dodging and burning section of this. So what we are going to do after we've done our healing is we're actually going to go over to the adjustment brush tool here. So just clicking on that, we're going to make sure it's a new mask. So after we've chosen our adjustment brush, we'll just go to the skin tone area, and I'm just going to click on the skin tone. Now we're going to move exposure up to probably about, let's say 2. We want it to be quite bright because this is actually going to be our dodging section of the tutorial. And as you can see, we've got our little marker there for this brush. And I'm also just going to scroll down to the brush section. We're going to make sure that the size of the brush is quite small and that the flow is quite low as well. So I'd say about 3 for flow and maybe, let's say about 2 for the size of the brush. The feathering can stay pretty much the same because we want it to be a fairly small, soft brush. to do the dodging with. Okay, so zooming in now, we're going to start on the cheek, and then I'm just going to start to run the brush over these areas of unevenness on the cheek. So I'm just going to do this little patch here, and then I'll show you guys a quick before and after of what that's done. It's going to be a really pretty simple tutorial today, actually. I feel like it's even a little bit more simplified by doing dodging and burning in Lightroom over Photoshop, because you're really not dealing with the layers. And for those of you who aren't too confident in Photoshop, this could be a better option for you to do this in Lightroom. So just after I've kind of like done a little bit of dodging there, I'm going to show you guys before and after. So you can up the flow if you feel that it's not strong enough with the output for the brush. I've just upped mine a little bit there. And we are just going to keep dodging this little section here. Okay, so now that we've dodged that little section of the cheek, I'm actually going to show you guys a quick before and after of what that looks like. So here we have a before and after, and you can see that that's really made a difference just in the evenness of the cheekbone just here. And you can see kind of like the little areas here where we've put the exposure onto the skin. So we're going to adjust the saturation, the slight saturation that we've left behind with the dodging tool. We're going to adjust that later, and I'm going to show you a really quick and easy way to do that. But for now, we're just going to keep going with the dodging on the cheekbone. Now, if you haven't seen my video on where to dodge and burn, I'd highly recommend watching that if dodging and burning is new to you and you're not really used to using it as a form of beauty retouching or skin retouching in general. Dodge and burn does take a while to really get a good grasp on, so I do feel like that video kind of tries to explain where you should be looking to dodge and burn, and so I don't have to really explain it again in this video because it will take quite a while to do so. I definitely recommend going and checking out that video first if you are struggling with knowing where to place the dodging and burning on the image. But for now, we're going to keep dodging on these little uneven areas to kind of even everything up a little bit more on the cheek. And then we're going to move around the face and continue doing the dodging. This is going to be a really simple tutorial, as I said before, so I'm going to sort of speed through it a little bit so you guys don't have to sit here for 3 hours watching me. Okay, so I'm just going to check in and do another quick before and after, and you guys can see the difference here. So as you can see, that's looking a lot smoother on the cheekbone, a lot better, and not as much unevenness and not as many bumps. We are going to, like I said, we're going to remove that saturation that we've sort of applied with the dodge and burn tool. That's just an effect of the exposure being put onto the skin tone. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually show you guys how to do the burning portion of this. So that's basically the gist of dodging. Now we're going to do burning. So back to the adjustment brush. And we're going to scroll up this time and we're going to go new. If I'm working on highlights and shadows like is usually being done with dodging and burning, I usually just try to place the brush in either the highlights or shadows or whatever area I'm kind of working on. So I've placed the dodge brush here. I'm going to just place the burn tool just over here. This time we're going to drag the exposure down to 2. To around 2, and then go down to the brush size again. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. The flow will just move down to around 4 again, and I'm going to zoom in and start burning in these darker areas of the skin tone, so around the shadows. So I'm just going to start painting in these areas, anywhere where it looks a little bit uneven. Same sort of thing as what I was doing with the dodge tool, but this time with the burn tool in the darker areas, just to kind of enhance that a little bit and smooth out the skin tone over here. I've actually found dodging and burning in Lightroom to be quite simple and quite an easy thing to do. I actually kind of prefer it in some ways. I think that this is probably something I'll use for future photographs where I don't have to spend a lot of time with dodging and burning. But I still prefer overall to use Photoshop, I think, because of the intricacies that can really be performed with that program. I mean, especially when it comes to skin color correction and lots of different facets of beauty retouching. But I really do find that this is a great option for those of you who are not quite at that level yet where you want to do too much with Photoshop and skin retouching there. And this is still a really great method to use, I feel, even with Lightroom. So here we've got a quick before and after of the burning as well as the dodging. So you can see how much that's made a difference on the cheekbone here. We've really just sort of worked in this area of the shadowed areas and sort of even that out a little bit more, as you can see. So we're going to continue on with doing the dodging and burning overall. I am going to speed it up, as I said before, because I don't want you guys to have to spend literally 3 hours here watching me dodge and burn. But this tutorial is mainly about how to dodge and burn in Lightroom, and I really hope that this is going to be helpful for you guys. I'm going to get straight into doing the rest of the image now and speed it up a little bit for you guys. Also, just before I go into retouching the rest of the image, I do find it is easier to place certain markers for the adjustment brush in Lightroom wherever you're actually zooming in to retouch. I just find that's easier with Lightroom sometimes, instead of zooming out all the time to go and edit and click on it to edit the dodge or burn marker that you've put down. So sometimes I'll put a few on the face depending on what area I'm working on. For this particular area, I'm just going to put another one down for the dodge tool, and I'm going to make sure the exposure is back up at 2 for this adjustment brush. So I'm just going to work on this area now and speed it up for you guys. I'm just going to do a bit of global dodging and burning at the moment, which is going to be a lot more of a larger, softer brush, and we're going to really just sculpt in some of the features and the main shadows and highlights. Okay, so another quick before and after to show you guys how that looks. So that is the before and this is the after on the right. And I think that we've done a pretty good job with dodging and burning so far. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys just one more thing with the dodging, more so than the burning, as the dodging with exposure tends to leave a bit of an oversaturation just in some areas of the skin tone. So we're actually going to be able to adjust that really easily. So I'm just going to get out of that, and we're actually going to just click on our original dodge brush here. So if you want to see where you've actually dodged, you can check show selected mask overlay, and that will actually show you where you've actually gone in. But I'm just going to click that off for now. And what we're actually going to do is just zoom in, and we're going to focus on this part just here where it's looking a little bit too saturated and orange. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the adjustment brush here. I'm going to click on this original dodging area that we did. And then just in the adjustments just here, we're just going to scroll down to saturation. And I'm just going to bring that right down to say -56, and you can really see that that's just drained a lot of the saturation out of that area. So that's a really easy fix if you do find that the exposure or dodging with the exposure does tend to leave that effect. So that is basically how you would dodge and burn in Lightroom. I'm just going to do a little bit more cleaning up just with the clone tool and the dodge tool just to brighten up the eyes, and then I'm going to have more of a finished image for you guys at the end. So I'm just going to be 5 seconds doing that, and we will get to the end of the tutorial. Okay, so I've just added a few basic adjustments there. So just some exposure, a little bit of contrast, some clarity on the side here, and some sharpening. I've also reduced the saturation of the oranges, which I usually do if I'm editing colors in Lightroom. So I'm going to show you guys now a quick before and after of both those images. So this has been basically a dodge and burn tutorial for Lightroom, and that is the difference between the original image and the after. And that's basically just having a few very basic adjustments. I haven't gone into depth with dodging and burning here, so I could spend a lot longer, especially on the makeup and perfecting that a little bit more, and the lips and just some of the other areas of the face. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I just really wanted to show you guys how the skin can actually look with a bit of dodging and burning and a few slight adjustments in Lightroom. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you learned something new from it today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so you can see all of the videos that I'll have in future. And if you've tried this technique before in Lightroom, let me know in the comments section below. I'd be really interested to hear. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!